Hi everyone and welcome. This is my recommended list of free plugins as of the end of 2018. So they're recommended on the basis of how stable they are, the actual sound quality, the processing, and of course things like usability, features, and lastly the UI, which really you can't ask for everything in a free plugin, so if it doesn't look that great, I'll still include it if it sounds really good and does a lot of good things. Also note, these are all 64-bit. Now, all the links for these plugins will be in the description below, so take a look. So starting off the list is the DDMF IIEQ Pro. This is probably one of the most versatile and best sounding EQs you can get. So you get 6 bands of EQ, and just take a look at all the different EQ types you get here. You also have A and B settings too, so you can switch between one setting and another, and check and see which one you prefer. Beyond that, another not so common feature is the ability to switch between parallel and series connections with your EQ. What's missing in this free version is you don't get the analyzer, and you can't do mid-side processing. Now next we have an assortment of EQs here. We have a couple that are very good at adding top end, the Roth and the Lufkus EQ. Then we have the Niveau and the Hoffa tilt EQs. And then the one on the bottom is very much a Neve style EQ. Now if you're not familiar with any of these, especially what a tilt EQ does, I highly recommend you download it and try it out. Alright, so on this next page here, we've got a number of great EQs, but perhaps my top recommendation is the Slick EQ. It has an auto gain control, so that when you boost or cut a band, it compensates with volume so that you don't think it's better because it's louder or worse because it's quieter. On top of that, you can choose a number of different curve models, and you also have harmonic saturation mid-side processing as well. Although TDR has a paid version, they haven't really limited this in any way. It's a great EQ as it is. Another great one here is Bark of the Dog. It has a passive, active, or a combination mode, and it's basically focused on boosting the low end in different ways. And as you can see, there's also a full-on Pultec emulation here as well by Ignite Amps. Next here we have the TDR Dynamic EQ, the Nova. So this is basically a mixture of dynamics and EQ. There's thresholds for EQ bands. If you've never used a dynamic EQ before, I can't think of a better place to start. Now for dynamics, if there's any free plugin that is a must-have in my opinion, it is a Kotelnikov. Good for mix duties, especially good for mastering. And a lot of mastering engineers use this even over paid plugins. If you've never seen it before, it's well worth heading over to the TDR website and reading up on its features and general design. This is a pretty well-known dynamics plugin. I can't recommend it enough. Next up is Buzzcut. This is a clipper, so if compression is more like a harness restraining your dynamics, this is a guillotine. Straight up just doesn't let anything past that red zone. Very useful if you're dealing with peaks in particular, and not a lot of them, but just here and there. Now this is the Voxengo section. If you don't have these, just go and get them. They're all extremely useful in different ways, especially though when it comes to anything in the stereo field. Now in the back here is Span. It's not really a processor as such, it's a spectrum analyzer and it's very versatile. Next is the Alex Hilton A1 stereo control. It's a stereo width plugin and it's extremely well featured. And check out this Align phase control, which lets you listen to the side signal in mono. Next up, a more creative plugin, a beautiful chorus effect from Acon Digital called Multiply. Another effect similar to a chorus here, the Super Spread from LKJB. Sticking with the creative plugins here, we've got the Tal Chorus and Reverb, and then Lagrange, which is a very nice sort of granular delay. It has a number of different modes it can operate in, and has a lot of parameters for you to work with. Next up is the phaser from Adam Sabo. It is actually a 64-bit plugin, and it does sound a lot like the phaser in the Virus. Excellent plugin. Now for some distortion, this is the Profet from Ignite Amps. And if you need some different flavors of distortion, you might want to try out some of these. Next up is the NSA Listening Tower Impulse Responses from Balance Audio Tools. This is a very fun, interesting reverb. Take a listen. Next up, another Alex Hilton plugin. This is the A1 Trigger Gate, and this is probably one of the best gate plugins I've ever seen. It manages to be quite simple and easy to operate. It has just the right parameters that I need to really make some fun and interesting gate effects. Okay, next up, HY plugins. All of these have a paid version, which does more stuff. The free ones are really well featured. So we'll take a look at Slicer first. I like to take vocal samples and drop this in here, and then randomize a few parameters. Let's take a listen. This will take an audio file, an audio sample, and slice it up. Then it has a number of different parameters that affect the playback of each of these slices. Also in use here is the HY filter and the delay. Last but definitely not least is Fracture from Glitch Machines. This is a fantastic plugin for subtle effects all the way up to complete wild FSU stuff. Take a listen. I've been Sammy from Ainsef Sounds. Have a great new year, everyone. Thanks for watching.